2020 is an important year for biodiversity, for nature, for women and indigenous peoples, the custodians. This year marks 70 years of the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, 25 years of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, and 10 years of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. We would like to add our voices to those who are concerned about the process of the updated draft of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, especially as we note with concern that many of our comments and the comments of many parties in support of full gender mainstreaming throughout the post-2020 GBF made during the second open-ended working group have not been adequately addressed, including the suggestion for a standalone target on gender besides Target 20. The rights, roles and contributions of women, as well as those of IPLCs and youth, have not been integrated at the level and with the ambition required of the framework to reverse biodiversity loss and ensure that both people and nature can thrive. It is clear that the rights-based approach mentioned in the theory of change has yet to be integrated. The GB05 clearly showed the systemic failure of the ICHA targets and how conventional exclusionary conservation approaches have not been able to halt biodiversity loss. To avoid this from happening again, the framework should include strong measures and mechanisms to enforce inclusive and equitable biodiversity governance at the local, subnational, national, regional, and global levels, and increase the reporting and accountability of parties. Inclusive governance implies gender responsiveness, equitable, intergenerational, intercultural, the full, effective, and meaningful participation of indigenous peoples and local communities, women, and other diverse, marginalized, and vulnerable groups in decision-making of planning, implementation, reporting, and evaluation of the GBF. It should also be ensured the GBF redirects all pervasive incentives and other investments away from projects and sectors that have harmed biodiversity and towards gender-responsive IPLC governance of biodiversity to address the critical transitions. And this has also been reflected very well in the LBO2 for the systemic and cultural change needed to support the ultimate aim of living in harmony with nature. We encourage parties to reflect and respond to the report of the thematic workshop on human rights as enabling conditions in the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, in informing the next version of the GBF to be discussed during the third open-ended working group. Human rights and a healthy planet are mutually dependent. To have a safe, clean, and healthy environment, we have to respect, protect, and fulfill human rights. To realize our human rights, we must heal, protect, and sustainably live on our planet. The COVID-19 crisis threatens to derail the implementation of the SDGs further, with significant human and economic consequences, and which will also have an impact on the implementation of the GBF. Whether we call it stepping up to the fight, walking the talk, or delivering for gender equality and women's empowerment, the point is that we all agree it's time. It's time to act for biodiversity and our just and sustainable future. We must work together to ensure that the new era of biodiversity conservation can deliver for the rights of nature, for the rights of women, and for the whole of society. Thank you, Chair.